So the leaks for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 17 have dropped, and this is the text leaks, unfortunately. However, I don't really think the full leaks will drop anytime soon, so I just went along with the text spoilers. So before I even go on to the actual spoilers for this chapter, the guy who leaks the text spoilers made it seem like there was actually going to be a battle between Damien and Jura. I was so hyped when I heard this, but I was still waiting for the actual pages to come out. But then a little while later, he or she says, I don't even know if it's a he or a she, they end up confirming that they were lying about the whole thing to begin with. So all the hypeness that I had for Damien versus Jura, I even started thinking about a script for the video, even started writing it a little bit, but it all came out not to be true. So in this video, I'll be simply giving you guys the actual leaks that came out, because apart from that, most of the leaks were actually required, and since we have the full translation of the chapter but not the pages, I'll just give you guys the brief spoilers for the chapter that is coming out. Another sneak peek will be coming out tomorrow, so you guys let me know if you want me to post a video about it too. But this is essentially what we get. The title of this chapter is Newborn Wild Beast. And this is very interesting when we come to find out exactly what ends up going on in this chapter. We have a Sumire and a Sarada who are still having these flashbacks about their altercation, the argument that they ended up having at the middle section of last chapter concerning Boruto and their feelings towards Boruto. Sumire loves Boruto while Sarada loves Boruto but didn't actually tell Sumire about it. So she is competing for Boruto's love without knowing that her friend actually loves Boruto too. But that's not anything that we really care about. But diving on deep onto the Shinju and where we left off from the last chapter, we have a Matsuri and a Ryu who end up having a discussion about finding Boruto and the clues that have been left. One of the clues that was left was the toad that was simply chilling in the land of wind in the desert. Matsuri and Ryu were able to localize that frog using the trees, and this is something that is quite interesting to me, as Matsuri says that the trees are actually the ones speaking. And I don't think this is an ability that all the Shinju possess. I think it's Matsuri's own ability due to her sensory abilities that she even had before turning into a Shinju, but this is simply being demonstrated with some of the actions that she takes. And we had a Yado who ends up agreeing with this, saying that Matsuri is a sensory type. But Ryu, trying to understand exactly how Matsuri was able to get this intel from the trees, he says that we are in the middle of a desert. Trees, where are the trees? But she says that trees are everywhere, even underground. And I don't know exactly what she means by this. Maybe a panel will explain it. So this is basically what she is saying, and we'll analyze it when the full chapter ends up dropping. Konohamaru is there, and it seems like they actually have a good plan. And we see some of the genius from Shikamaru again in this chapter, as I simply don't think that Naruto could come up with such a smart but low-key devious plan that Shikamaru has planned up. As we have a flashback of Konohamaru and Shikamaru discussing exactly what they will be doing when they go to the land of wind. When they go to the land of wind, the goal that they have to do is to end up splitting Ryu and Matsuri. Konohamaru will end up splitting with Matsuri, while the four of them, which are the two people from the land of sand, and Sarada and Mitsuki. And the reason behind this logic is that Shikamaru believes that Matsuri has feelings for Konohamaru. And this is where things get very interesting, as just like us, Shikamaru has found out that their target are the people that they love. Either this is a love of a family member or this is romantic love. And Shikamaru has deduced that Matsuri's target comes from romantic love. And that romantic love is the love that Moegi has for Konohamaru, and thus he concludes that the best way to distract Matsuri from even paying attention to Ryu and taking down Ryu while Matsuri is distracted is by having Matsuri end up splitting with Konohamaru. Ryu goes with the other four while Konohamaru is keeping Matsuri busy, and this is exactly what ends up happening, and we almost get to see the dialogue of the title of the chapter concerning the fact that these guys are newborn wild beasts. as Shikamaru describes them as newborns. They don't really have an understanding of the world around them. They have these feelings that they don't understand, and they're simply trying to navigate those feelings, which makes them quite vulnerable for attacks or illusions. They won't be in the right mindset for them not to be tricked, as they are inexperienced. So Shikamaru wants Konohamaru to deceive Matsuri using the fact that she loves him so that he can later on backstab her and get rid of her. This is why I say that Shikamaru's plan is devious and smart, and something that Shikamaru notes himself that Naruto wouldn't do. This is the difference in the leadership that Shikamaru has versus Naruto, and it's really up to you guys whether this is the right approach to take. How do you guys feel about Shikamaru basically telling Konohamaru and the rest of Team 7 without even the Land of Wind guys really knowing that they are manipulating her so that they can later on backstab her and take the sword and soul? And one thing that I also do like is that Shikamaru says that these guys are not necessarily evil, and this is just simply from the text spoilers why I really like this chapter, as it doesn't appear to have too much going on. It seems like the next chapter is going to be the one that is truly decisive. However, what we do end up getting is something that gives us a better characterization of the Shinju. They are being noted and explained to us as creatures that are not necessarily evil. They are creatures with a lot of power and feelings that they don't really understand, and thus it could cause them to be threats, but to say they are evil would be deceitful, and that's what Shikamaru describes in this chapter. So that's essentially what ends up happening. We basically have Team 7 alongside the guys from the Land of Sand end up introducing themselves to Matsuri and Ryu. They are talking, having a very chill conversation, and they end up splitting Ryu with the 4 guys, which are Ayara, Yado, Mitsuki, and Sarada, and then Konohamaru stays with Matsuri. They basically accomplished that goal of splitting them up. And during the conversations, we literally have a Ryu who was like, yo, I was planning on killing you guys, but you guys are quite chill. I really like talking to you guys. So I don't feel anything towards Ryu, like I don't feel bad, but this is kind of interesting because I don't know how to feel about these villains anymore. Like, maybe I don't feel like they're necessarily like bad or evil people, but I really wonder what's the path. We could have some very solid writing when it comes to these guys, almost like some Miram type vibes where we had with Hunter x Hunter and with Jura, but these other guys are also getting a shine. The Shinju are gonna be here for a while because it almost seems like Ikimoto is giving them almost each of them a personality. With the past villains, it almost seemed, especially with Kara to me, it almost seemed like they didn't really matter. Especially with the likes of Boro and Delta, they didn't really come to be true characters to me until a little while longer when it came to Delta. When it came to Boro, I never really cared about him or truly understood him until the anime came out with the cult activities. But here, we're getting some characterization for both Ryu and Matsuri who is quite flustered around Konohamaru, barely able to speak, with a Ryu who calls everybody senpai. And this is a very interesting part of his character, the fact that he shows a lot of loyalty to the Shinju group and calls everybody senpai. We have to remember that Shinki is probably around the age of Boruto, so it does make sense that he's calling those other people senpai, because in real life they are actually older than him, but as a Shinju they are technically born at the same time, which simply demonstrates his own personality that is quite consistent with the way he used to be, as Ryu seemed to be quite loyal, as Shinki seems to be quite loyal of a person, respectful. He was basically raised by Gaara, a high authority, so obviously his mannerism is going to be quite polite and quite respectful and professional, and that's what we see being displayed into Shinki. So not only are we getting a characterization from Ryu, but we get a better explanation and we get to see who Shinki really is as a person. That's what is being displayed to us by us getting this sort of interaction between Ryu and Team 7. But he's like, yeah, I really wanted to kill you guys at first, but you guys seemed quite cool to chat with. And Sarada, playing the role, he's like, nah, what? She's like, nah, what? You really wanted to kill us? Just going along with everything that is going on. And they almost seem like babies that didn't really have to experience anything. Or people who are shut-ins. They're people who are shut-ins, they only stay at home, and then they finally get to have a conversation with somebody else, and they finally get to get an opportunity, and they finally get to talk to somebody who is real outside in the world, and they are not able to realize some of the deceitfulness that these guys could have because they're simply inexperienced. And that's something that is quite interesting to see with the Shinju, their lack of inexperience but their power that they have. They seem like smart people that just don't have real life experiences. We can see in their dialogue when they talk about fate, but when they interact with people around them, it seems like they simply don't have that experience. And I really love that when it comes to their character. I find that to be quite interesting. And Shikamaru reminds Konohamaru, we have these flashbacks over and over again. Sorry for the lack of panels because it simply didn't come out, but Shikamaru essentially tells everybody to be heartless. They should be heartless because they are our enemies. Whether this is deemed to be good or bad, it is for the good of the village. So Konohamaru basically has to deal with playing with Moegi's emotions, who is now being expressed as Matsuri. Boruto is having a conversation with Kashin Koji, detailing wanting to figure out exactly what is going on. He seems to be quite nervous from the dialogue, with a Boruto who's wondering if they are actually going to be able to pull it off. How likely are they going to fail in this mission? Kashin Koji reassures Boruto, saying that it's unlikely, and a Boruto who's asking for more details. But Kashin Koji lets Boruto know that no matter what, you are staying here just like Himawari, as if you act and Jura catches you, say goodbye, you will die, and we can't afford that. This is what we're basically being able to see. And then out of nowhere, we have a Jura who makes an appearance. The Sentry team notifies Shikamaru that Jura has made an appearance, and Jura basically came here to collect books. Shikamaru tells him not to move, not to do anything crazy, just ignore Jura and let him do as he wants, just like Kashin Koji instructed Shikamaru to do. He even says not to bother evacuating the civilians, and to relay this to every team that is out there. And this is where it would have been very cool to have Damon say that he wants to fight Jura, but obviously that guy had to lie about it the entire time and ruin everybody's day. But I digress and we continue. What actually ends up happening is that Jura basically goes there and drops a down payment, a deposit, for him to be able to keep and buy some of these books. The shopkeeper is like, yo, cool, there's no problem, I'm looking forward to seeing you next. Jura's gonna be popping into the village whenever he wants to. I have never seen a villain do that before. I don't know if this is disrespect, I don't know if this is just aura, but Jura is simply that guy. But we go back to another thing that is quite interesting, which is Kawaki. Amado finally meets Kawaki, with a Kawaki who says that we have a lot of things to discuss. And first, you're going to remove my limiters and bring me to full power. And that's what ends up happening. This is very interesting. We have a Kawaki who ends up finally getting these limiters removed. He is going to be going crazy in the next chapter. But there's a lot of things that they're going to be discussing, so I really wonder why. I know there's going to be something about Delta in there. There has to be. And I really don't know what Amado is planning to do. Did he know that he was eventually going to be caught? What is he thinking right now? How did Boruto know that he was limiting Kawaki? This is what we are going to be figuring out in the next chapter. But for this chapter, these are the spoilers that we got. To be 100% honest, I am kind of disappointed. Not disappointed in the chapter, but I was so hyped when I found out that Damon and Jura could potentially fight. I had a video even planned. I was halfway done with the video. I'll likely end up making the video, but some of the points will be changed. But yeah, let me know if you still want to see the video about Damon versus Jura, because now that I look at it and now that I look at everything, it is still a very interesting fight. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on the spoilers in the comment section below. It's been your boy Dynasty, and I'm out, bruh.